Today, we're going to look into what traditional Chinese medicine knows about your dog that Western world doesn't. Welcome. My name is Anya. I'm a dog massage therapist, and my biggest passion is on coaching dog guardians on holistic care and how to support their dogs at home. And yes, that's me. Holding my dad's slipper in my mouth when I was only 2 years old at the seaside because I was so passionate about dogs and I love them so much. And yes, I wanted to be a dog. So your dog is already in loving hands. And how do I know that? Because you are here and you're looking for new ways to even support your dog even more deeply. And this is why I'm so incredibly happy to have you here. And if you're joining because your dog is already dealing with something or you're here just to gain fresh perspectives, welcome. We will all learn something new today. And I always say that every dog is a unique story. So if you have any specific questions relating to your dog, please reach out to me at anya@wigglebit.com or visit my website, www.wigglebit.com. Just like I mentioned, every dog has their own specific history, story, upbringing, way of life, and we will also take a look today on different personalities based on traditional Chinese medicine. So even the element in their nature is completely different. So we should always take them not as one size fits all, but each and everyone on their own separate way. So before we start, there's throughout the webinar, it's going to be one major idea, and this is that our dogs are our guardians. And what I mean by that is we're their owners. We don't own our dogs, but we are simply here to hold space for them to teach us what they came here to teach us, to give us their message. If, of course, we allow themselves to teach us those things. So through our intention and mindful care, we create space, not only for them to be healthy and not only for them to have them as many years as possible and to have them in their best condition, but most of all, for them to share their message with us freely without their energy being pulled somewhere else. And what I mean by that, whenever we have a certain condition in our bodies or in our dogs' bodies, their body tries to heal themselves. So their energy will always go on that specific organ or in that specific tissue and will try to heal the body from the inside out. But if we support our dog already with the best nutrition, with the best care, if we are taking care of our dog being outside in the forest, so they can sniff as much as they can, so they can communicate with other dogs. If we allow them to have the best equipment, we all know that not all leashes and harness are the most appropriate for them, right? Some are even harmful. So if we know how to hold space for them and we allow them to be healthy, this is the best condition. And I always say, it's not, we often, when our dog has a certain condition or a certain health issue, we often fell in this rabbit hole of trying to take them out from the situation, to make them healthy again, to make them happy again. But we often forget that in that state, we are denying them. Of course, it's not always easy to see them in a bad situation, not in their right mood, right? This is something very, very challenging. But step away, 2 steps, and just see what are you doing. Are you putting too much stress on your dog? Are you taking them to many places just to try to get them back again? Or you can be in their state, in that state together with them, and offer them safety and your presence with your open heart. By following them through life and contributing to their highest good, we also contribute to our own as well. And why I think so? Because we also go with them into the forest. When we start to care for their food, we also see how they improve, and they also give us an idea. I think I should start eating in accordance to traditional Chinese medicine as well, because we see an amazing results. And to me, this is one of the most beautiful bonds there exists. What will you take away from today? So we will take a look at what traditional Chinese medicine personality is your dog, how to adjust your dog's care and nutrition based on your dog's element, the specifics of spring. We are entering in this time, in this place of, in this side of the world, we are entering spring. I also have a few of you joining from Australia, Latin America. So in that part of the world, of course, you are entering autumn, so it's a little bit different. And at the end, I also have 2 bonuses. So a acupressure point to support your dog in this season, and a very special announcement. At the end of this webinar, I will provide you with a framework to better understand your dog. I want you to encourage you to look at your dog openly with your full presence, and to know that your dog chooses you as their guardian for a reason. And if you're open enough to see what they are telling you, this can become an incredible journey. In a Western perspective, how we usually look at our dogs. We usually look them as different breeds, different type of fur, different color, maybe different character, yes. And this is just one point of view. Another point of view can be from muscles, bones, fascia, and you can already know that these are completely different systems. They are, of course, implementing each other. But another point of view is traditional Chinese medicine that I really love and I'm really passionate about. And today we're going to look at the major specifics that you will be able then afterward to implement at home. In November of last year, a challenging journey with my senior dog, Tisa, started. I have 2 dogs at home. The younger one is Mila, the Whippet. She is 6 years old. And I actually got her together with my partner. And I always say that it's a beautiful jackpot to actually have 2 dogs now. And my hard dog, Tisa, and she is 14. And throughout her life, she didn't have any major health issues. But just in November last year, our journey with seizures began, with also other neurological episodes, not only seizures. And I already shared this story. It was very difficult because at first I didn't know, of course, what is happening, and I thought she's dying. And I encourage all of you, when you are in front of such a situation, to keep in mind that also in those situations, your dog is looking up to you and you are their anchor. So I know it's very, very challenging, and it's the moment when everything stops. But remember that in that time, they need you the most in their life. They need you to be calm for them, to allow them space, to decide whatever they decide to do. And this is actually one of the major responsibilities that we have as dog guardians, to walk them slowly to the other side. And in November last year, I was incredibly happy the next day when I saw that she is, of course, still with us. And I promised her that we will go to the vet if, of course, she will be okay. Because in that state, when her eyes were rolled backwards, her tongue was outside, she was shaking. And I actually thought that, okay, this is the moment, right? So, of course, in that state, I didn't want to take her to the vet because that would put just an additional stress to her, because she was always afraid of going to the vet. And I just thought to myself, if that is the moment, I just want for her to have me by her side up until the end, for her to die at home where she feels the safest. But the next day, when she was still with us, with me, with myself and my partner, I said to her, okay, now we're going to the vet and we will check what actually was happening. And you can see the answer on the left. So her blood tests were great. They actually improved over the last 6 months. Her joints look like those of a dog half her age. Her muscles are actually in very good condition as well. And they said, this is simply how it goes. She's just getting older. And they prescribed certain medication to ease the symptoms. Then on the right side, when I started to cure her with craniosacral therapy, with frequency medicine, with herbal therapy, I actually got quite a few new information that I didn't know before. As she ages and her body grows weaker, it becomes more vulnerable. That was actually the main outcome. But then it started. The trauma from her early puppyhood, she was tortured when she was still a puppy, and I took her from a shelter where she was taken afterwards. She buried deep inside of her in her subconscious. And when her body started to be weak, those subconscious feelings started to surface. And of course, in that stage, she needed even a greater sense of safety and acceptance. So I started to cure her with herbal therapy. I actually have it here. Some of you already know and are already treating your dogs with herbal balls that you made at home. So you can see herbs and different ingredients wrapped and heated up. And I started to put that on her muscles, on her chakra areas, to communicate with her that she's safe, that she's loved, that she's taken care of. Because in that state, when a dog is under a very, very high stress, um, they cannot function as they did. They cannot accept communication as they did before. And the temperature was actually one of our only ways of communicating. Because puppies, when of course they're still young, the warmth from their mother is communicating to them that they are safe, that they are loved, that they're taken care of. And this actually get locks inside of their brain. And even throughout their life, when they're an adult or a senior, when you are putting warmth into their body through different manual therapies or with herbal ball therapy, this is exactly what they are unlocking. And this is why it's amazingly calming for them. And also because of the herbs that we are hitting up, this is also another information. But just with herbal therapy, I managed to calm her down and make her sleep, which was incredibly difficult in that time. And I even heard her snoring. I almost cried when I heard her snoring again, because I just knew that she's calm and that she gets her much needed rest. So not only I was trying to communicate this emotional side so that she is safe, but also I was hitting up her muscles, because of course in that state she couldn't move and the blood circulation was stagnant, and this is how I actually contribute to her healing on a natural way. Frequency therapy, that was also one of the most beautiful journeys that we were onto, because we got to know so much about myself, about my care towards my dogs, and especially about Tisa. How does this work? It opens a field so a dog can choose their own path. This is very, very important. So here we really need to be open and be willing to hold space for whatever comes, for death or for life. And where you actually ground yourself in this idea and you let go, this is exactly when the healing can happen. Frequency medicine. So it's really a woo-woo world, right? But it's not like that. When you see that it works, it's something beautiful. So how does it work? The body is an energetic informational system, of course, with its own electromagnetic field. So every tissue, every organ has its own frequency. And our bodies, of course, are made up mostly out of water, and water can hold frequency information. For example, our organ is vibrating at a certain frequency, and when we introduce a harmonious frequency to it, to the body, we stabilize that vibration. Actually, that is very similar as to tuning a musical instrument. So we don't make diagnosis, but we aim for balance. Of course, devices with multiple outputs can run their own frequency program and transmit different frequency signals through different channels simultaneously. And we can also send these healing frequencies not only to one dog or one person, but we can also send this information to different groups. Really depends on what kind of device we're using. So why does it work remotely? This is maybe something new for you, but yes, it works remotely. I never saw my therapist. Tisa never saw her therapist. I sent her a picture of Tisa, because also a picture, or let's say if you can send um, um, some dog hair or saliva, all of that contains a certain information about your animal, and this is how it can work. So for most remote frequency healing approaches, there is no clinical evidence, I must say that, and it's not a substitute for veterinary care, but I saw an amazing results with my TISA. So why am I saying that? We are here to gain new perspectives, to see what else is there. I think that we always find different ways when we have a certain issue. If we are safe and sound, we think we know everything. We are also not actually searching for new ways to even improve our way of life or improve our dog's life. But when certain issues happen and we feel helpless, this is when alternative, or better say basic medicine, actually comes into play. Homeostasis is a process in which body maintains a stable internal environment despite the external conditions, despite the cold, despite the heat, the humid. This involves regulating factors such as temperature, pH, hydration, glucose levels, and we are always circling around autonomic nervous system, which we know also under fight or flight or rest and digest. So those two nervous system responses are in autonomic nervous system. Endocrine systems, of course, which is responsible for sending hormones across our body, and of course, digestive system. So we probably know what happens in fight or flight. Our body gets tense, the muscle gets tense. So if we are talking about our dog's bodies, they are prepared to, of course, fight or flight, right? To run or hide. So in that state, the adrenaline and the cortisol levels are up. And of course, in that state, the digestion is off. They are in high energy. The blood pressure is up. So everything in the body acts very fast because they need to save themselves, right? Or attack. But what we are, of course, what we want to contribute is rest and digest. In this state, the body can heal themselves. So when our body or our dog's body is at rest, the blood pressure is down, so the digestion can start, the healing processes can start. And this is exactly how it works. But we see from that picture that when stressors are added, of course, those lines cannot stay as they are in such a strong way, in such a functional way. So, of course, we can live with stress, or our dog can live with stress, just in certain time. But of course, if we don't remove that stress, we can start to see certain issues or certain imbalance or even certain disease. And why did we as species survive on this planet? At first, we were nomads. So we moved to where food was plentiful, where it was safe, where it was warmer, where survival was easier. And we didn't fight nature, we followed it. But the real breakthrough came when we learned to adapt to the seasons. When we understood nature's rhythms, its cycles, its patterns, that's when we no longer had to run. We as species survived because we knew how to listen to nature. We could stay in one place and successfully thrive through everything each season brought. We didn't survive in spite of nature, we survived because we became a part of it. And here I have certain questions for your reflection. Why do our habits pull us away from nature nowadays? Why does the modern world teach us that we can outsmart it? And if we work in alignment with nature, can it really go wrong? Holistic methods are all about the body as a whole, interconnected system. It says, and it shows, that a symptom in one area is often a reflection of something deeper, an imbalance, for example, in another organ, a stored emotion that didn't flow freely, a disrupted energy flow. And holistic care looks at the full picture. So not just on certain parts of the body, but the physical, the emotional, and the energetic. And of course, the true healing happens when we address the root of the issue, not just what's visible on the surface. And when we treat the whole system, what I would really like you to understand is that we don't just silence the system, we restore it. So the most powerful model is not holistic versus conventional, it's integration. So we will see how we can implement both worlds into our care and into also our healing processes. Key principles of holistic methods are, of course, that everything is connected. We saw emotions, organs, energy, seasons. It's about balance, it's about wellness, it's about individualization. And here on the right, you see that also we have different dog massage and different manual therapies here, homeopathy that takes care of treating with certain natural remedies, enrichment exercises, and of course, traditional Chinese medicine that consists out of acupuncture, acupressure, so different methods, just depends on what kind of tool you're using, or maybe are using needles or your fingers. It's also tuina massage, herbal therapy, and also food therapy, nutrition. And when we talk about holistic methods, of course, we are talking about traditional Chinese medicine. I often say it was holistic even before it was cool, because we hear about holistic. Holistic is kind of buzzword for nowadays, right? But it's actually ancient wisdom, the mother of holistic, that is older than 4,000 years. Some documents are showing that the number is even bigger, but 4,000 years are the first written documents when different therapists were treating elephants with acupuncture. Traditional Chinese medicine is showing us how we can become observers ourselves. And this is why I love it so much, because we are not trusting our power to some other authority. Of course, we are not trying to do surgeries or do certain major healing processes, but it teaches us that we have this power. It teaches us that we should search and find this power inside of ourselves. It teaches us how to use food as medicine, how to use movement as medicine. So this is everything what we can do with our bodies, with our energy, with ourselves. And of course, because we are dog guardians, it also teaches us how we can do and take and implement these habits for them. And when we talk about traditional Chinese medicine, the major connecting line here are meridians. Meridians are energetic pathways underneath the skin, which are connected to different organ systems. Sometimes you will see organs written with big capital. These are actually, it's meant of the organ system, for example, liver system. And with a small capital is actually the organ itself. So organs represents more than just a physical organ. They manage energy and emotions. And the qi is life force energy that flows through meridians. And why is this important? Whenever we have a certain blockage, or just think about it as meridians as a road, as an energetic pathway. And whenever we have a traffic jam, this is exactly what we need to treat. So because of this blockage, the whole system can be disrupted, and the whole body is not in the balance anymore. And whenever we are talking about traditional Chinese medicine, everything that we talk about is balance, maintaining balance. And with different manual therapies, we are encouraging this flow of qi that goes through meridians to help encourage this flow and make this blockage go away. So we can use our fingers at home, so we can do acupressure, or maybe we can use moxa. There are moxa sticks that we heat it up and also position next to a certain acupressure point. And of course, with delivering warmth and heat into the certain spot, we help this blockage go away because we heat up. The blood starts to run, and of course, it removes the blockage. For example, if we are comparing the Western world with the alternative world or traditional Chinese medicine, just look at this example. So if our dog has a problem with their eyes, what do? We take them to the vet, and usually we treat the condition only at the point where we see it. But from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective, we understand that the eyes are connected to the liver. Eyes and liver are intimately connected through metabolic, immune and circulatory pathways, often described as the liver-eye axis. And what can we do as dog owners if we know that our dog has every spring, for example, they have a condition with their eyes? And I'm not talking about these acute states, but those small states that are repeating every season. And this is information for you not to miss and not to ignore. What you can do at home, we can support them with food, with acupressure, with certain acupressure points, and with our specialized care. And this is not something for you to be scared of and having in your mind of, oh, just so many more things that I need to take care of and that I need to being concerned of. No, actually, we can be so incredibly happy that we have this power inside of us and in our homes, that we can already, before a certain condition appears, we already know and we can help them at home. And what you also need to know when we are talking about traditional Chinese medicine, that is segmented through quite a few different segments. We always start to cure with at least big change. How to say it? So we are not trying to put our dog immediately to take our dog immediately to acupuncture. But we, of course, it's very recommendable to change the food first. And I say from my experiences that in most cases, if not all, this condition usually goes away. The food is really medicine. And you can see that when you will implement and change that. When I changed food, I started to feed Tisa with raw meat when she was 7, and her energy improved massively. I actually have a completely different dog, and I always joke that when and I'm not joking, that's a real story. When I took her out in the evening, and people are just able to see just her energy, not actually her color of the fur, because she was already a bit gray or silver, I say, around her muzzle. They thought she was a puppy. This is how much energy she gained. And she didn't have any major issues before, but she just gained so much more energy. And when you see that, you start believing. And of course, now when she's getting old, I switched raw food with cooked food. We will talk in the following slides. Why is that so? But I really want you to know, just to think about what can you actually do at home and how much power you actually have at home. The connection. So everything is connected, right? This is actually the major line in holistic healing. And the 5-element theory can be seen everywhere. So at first glance, maybe you can think, this is just a very cute picture, right? But in reality, this is deeply connected and constantly influencing one element another. And if we look just from the nature perspective, we know that fire melts metal. We know that metal acts as chopwood. When a wooden tree falls, it blocks the earth. When the earth piles up, it blocks the water. And when the water floods, it puts out the fire. And it's exactly like that with organs in our body system. The fundamentals of traditional Chinese medicine. In spring, in this time around, we have the wood element that is present, and it's connected to the liver. And we also see, we will speak about yin and yang. We probably think, wow, spring, finally, after long winter, it's going to be warmer, it's going to be so nice. And you can already see and maybe feel with yourselves that even you are starting to go out, to look out. But of course, this brings up not only our energy, but also other things that we will look into in the following. And just like yin and yang has something good and something black in white and something white in black, also in spring we have a windy climate. And this is exactly why we should also take care of our bodies even more, because if not, of course, we can expect another imbalance, not a disease, imbalance, right, in traditional Chinese medicine. And you can see how all other elements are connected to different seasons, to different emotions. For example, in the autumn, we can feel a bit under the weather. This is a time of letting go and even of sadness. But we see that, and this is why I love traditional Chinese medicine so much, what it teaches us, having a better connection to nature. We also need winter, not only to let go and to slow down, but we need to rest, and we need to allow our bodies to rest. Why? Because we can feel then our batteries, so we can leave out what it's not longer serves us. And with spring coming up, we can start again to go out to gain this energy. But we, of course, if we didn't have this enough rest in winter, what it will happen, our energy will just will go too much too soon, right? Will go away too much too soon. So this is exactly why we need to listen to nature. We need to allow certain emotions. We need to allow certain seasons, not only in nature, but also in our bodies. Yin and yang. So traditional Chinese medicine teaches us about balance. Just like I mentioned before, we have a dark spot in white and white spot on the dark side. So everything good has something bad, dark, right? And everything light has something dark inside of. I think it's a better saying dark, because the darkness is not always bad. It actually gives us a lot of perspective, a lot of wisdom if we are allowed to see it. So let's talk about dark and light. This is exactly what we see in our body as well, and in the nature. So all male produce some female hormones, and all female produce some male hormones as well. And it's not just one side, or it's just in nature, it cannot consist only yin or only yang. You can have much yin or much yang, but we are trying to maintain the balance. And this is everything what we're going to talk about today, creating balance. When we will talk about our dogs, you will know immediately if your dog is more yin and more yang. And what I think about that, when I say that, you know if your dog is more slow, more reserved, or maybe more outgoing, more loud. You know already from these separate sides on what side your dog is on. So the first question for you, is your dog hot or cold? So the main question here is your dog yang or yin? And 5 questions to find out. Where does your dog like to rest? Do they seek cold surfaces, so shades, or they prefer warm, cozy places, and they are always searching for those sunny patches on the floor and start to sunbath immediately when the sun comes out? How does your dog relate to winter? Do they drink a lot, or do they drink very little? How does your dog behave in different seasons? That's very much important. So do they struggle in summer and seem more energetic, or comfortable in cooler weather? Or do they slow down in winter and thrive in warmth? What is your dog's energy level and temperament? How does your dog body feel to touch? So when you go through your hand throughout their body, are there certain parts of their body that is cold? Or you could say that you can see, you can feel already the warmth underneath your fingers. What would you say? So already this perspective gives us a good sense of which side of our dog, on which side our dog leans forward. And that doesn't mean that something is wrong, something is right. It's simply how it is. And it's very important for us to adjust our food and our care, because we are at this state, from this state, we know exactly what we will strive for. So if our dog is more yin, we will know that we need to contribute to their fire. And on the opposite side is true as well. So if our dog is very fiery, we know that we need to be more calm with them, that we need to be more grounded, that we also need to present certain foods for them that are more cooling, and so on. And why is that important? This is exactly important with, of course, with care, with our upbringing, with training, but it's all starts with food. So if we don't know this about our dogs, and we will go even deeper with dog personalities and traditional Chinese medicine elements. But for example, it's not only about changing the flavor of the kibbles because he was eating fish, and now we will give them lamb. We need to know what we are actually doing with this change, because in traditional Chinese medicine, each food has its own characteristics. And let's think about it from different energy that we put into our bodies and our dog's bodies. So, for example, if our dog has allergies and we are just switching the flavor of the kibbles to lamb, we are actually doing more harm than good. It's not only about the flavor, the main question is what kind of energy we are putting with food in our dog's bodies. And lamb is very hot. And allergies, in essence, is a very hot state in our bodies and in our dog's bodies. So what do we do if we have fire and just put even more fire to it? A very bad condition and a very stressful dog. So you can use as many medication as possible, but because you are not changing the food as you should, of course, your dog cannot get any better. And this is why I'm so happy that you're here, because you will gain just new perspectives. You will know how to take care of your dog, but most of all, it will give you just this a whole new perspective on how you can care at home and how you can help them. And I will be very, very happy if you have any questions around this topic. I'm always happy to answer, and we can even investigate further your cold yin or hot yang personalities. And when we are talking about elements, the 5-element theory and the elements of traditional Chinese medicine in regards to personalities. So why do these differences exist at the first place? In traditional Chinese medicine, every living being is born with its constitutional type. So it's a dominant element that shapes not only their physical body, yes, it can shape their physical body as well, but also their emotional patterns, behavioral tendencies, and of course, also the vulnerabilities. It's their energetic blueprint, think from this perspective. And just as two dogs don't look the same on the outside, not two dogs are the same on the inside. We understand what their natural personality is like. And why this understanding is important, because then we know how they respond to food, to the environment, to exercise, and to stress. Their element influences how they relate to their guardian as well, which organs are they likely to go out of balance, and what kind of care will nourish them versus what will deplete them further. So understanding your dog's element means you stop guessing, and again, we already spoke about that. We become an observer, and we see what our dog is telling us and what is showing us, and we start to communicate on a whole different level. So it shifts the relationship from reactive to proactive care. Can you recognize your dog in these descriptions? The wood element, usually dogs in wood element are frustrated, they're more angry, or more impatient. Their organ is liver and gallbladder, and they thrive with long walks, with nose work, and tasks that give them a sense of direction and accomplishment. Fire element, major emotions for them are overexcitement, anxiety as well, restlessness. You can know that your dog is on fire element. Usually they're so incredibly happy that they can even pee themselves. That's one of the major signs. Their most vulnerable organ is heart and small intestine. They thrive with bonding activities, gentle play, but most importantly, a guardian who is emotionally present and steady. So the biggest mistake that I see with dog guardians that have dog in fire element, the dog in a fire element is already very active all over the place. They're so happy. And usually, of course, we just respond to their energy. We don't know. I always say that I know that we act from love, from care, and from our best intention. But I'm sure that if dog guardians would know certain stuff, of course, they will adjust their care. But usually I see that with dogs like that, their energy is just so we can get, how to say, we can get this energy also in ourselves. It's contagious. I was searching for that word. What we need to do in that state is actually be more grounded, to actually be more calming, to calm down their fire, right? Dogs in earth element, their major emotions are worry, overthinking, clinginess. Their most vulnerable organs are spleen and stomach. They thrive with predictable schedules, warm, nourishing food, and lots of physical closeness. What about those two? Dog in metal element is usually full of rigidity. Their emotions are also detachment and grief. Most vulnerable organs are lungs and large intestine. What it thrives with is calm environments, meaningful one-on-one connection, and most importantly, space. They really need space and quiet. So usually when we have certain toxins in this element, again, what can be not really the best care would be to try to bring up the fire inside of them, right? We really need to understand their nature. So we really need to know how we can meet them halfway. Then dog in a water element, their major emotions are fear, insecurity. Most vulnerable organs are kidneys and bladder, and they thrive with predictability, quiet environments, and herbal energetic support for their nervous system. And if we go even a step further, best care approach and food for each personality. So please keep in mind that those are general guidelines. In my separate environment, I also share different recipes that actually can address a certain state that your dog is in. Most importantly, and this is something that I really wished for today, is not to make things too complicated, and please take it like that. Most importantly is that if you only implement a small change and just switch, let's say, a certain type of food, or maybe just put a little fresh food, fresh meat, or maybe cooked vegetables in their bowl, you will already start to see certain changes and you will already contribute to their well-being. And this is how we should start, slowly, not too big of a change too soon. This is, again, a general guideline. And of course, it's always good to know the history of your dog, if they have any allergies, and we can then implement and adjust their diet completely and in their best way. So with wood dog, what is really the best care, the best approach is to move their body, to challenge their mind. So we need to give them structure, but never suppress their drive. And we have a rule in traditional Chinese medicine, like treats like. What I mean by that, support their organ, which is liver. So if you go to the butcher and take livers, let's say beef or beef, for example, it's very good. I just had this for my senior dog, and straight after recovery, after seizures, because liver organ is also responsible for seizures. Um, she eats liver like crazy, and she actually gained her energy back. So, like I mentioned, energy really is food really is medicine, and it's energy as well. So if you will implement also some beef meat, kale, spinach, so green leafy vegetables. This is actually your mantra for a wood dog. With a dog with a fire element, be there calm. So regulate your own energy first and keep overstimulation low. Of course, you can be happy, but don't try to overstimulate them. And I'm really, really wondering, when you will do those adjustments, please write to me and say what you notice about your dog. Did you notice something different? Did you notice that something actually switched? I would be very happy to hear that. So with dogs in fire element, prioritize heart supporting foods. We already know heart support likes treats like. So they will be very happy if you again go to the butcher and maybe take let's say some hearts because it will be very, very good for their energy, for their heart, especially red meats and also beets. Earth dog, they're all about the routine. So routine is medicine for them. Warm, easily digestible food, lots of closeness. Support their spleen, which is their organ, and digestion above all. You can add some venison, lamb, carrots. Metal dog. With metal dogs, what you need to know is that less is more. Respect the space, keep the environment quiet, and let trust build slowly. Support the lungs, their organ, with fresh air, with breathing and release. Their meat is pork, duck, eggs, and also pears. And when we are talking about breathing, whenever, if you're doing some breathing exercises, invite your dog to join you. When you are in this relaxed state, you can put your hands on your dog and you can sync your breathing to your dog's breathing and just pay attention to what you feel. Usually, certain emotions will come to the surface and just pay attention. Are they yours? Or maybe they are emotions of your dog. This is one of the most beautiful exercises there is. Dogs in water element, they're all about slowing down. So never rush or even force. Build safety through consistency. Kidney support is key. They really need warm food because kidneys really work well whenever we cook food. So with that, we contribute to the health of kidneys and nervous system nourishment. So foods like duck, bone broth especially, and ginger. I always wanted to point out here as well, balance is key. So it doesn't go like that, for example, we should always just bring up certain energy into the body. But when we look into our dog's bowl, it's always good to know exactly, first of all, is our dog yin or yang? Then what element, major dominant element we think our dog is? And then we switch them different ingredients that are contributing to different energy. So we're not only feeding with warm foods or only with cold foods, but actually different foods have different energetics. We also have neutral energetic properties. So it's very, very good if we mix different. That actually contributes to the best health of our dogs. So Western world was a traditional Chinese medicine perspective. If we are looking into food, we are looking through the lenses on the Western world only through calories. We are actually just describing food through calories. But actually, what we see when we eat a certain type of food, for example, if we eat ginger, if we put a small amount of ginger in our tea and we drink that, why are we doing that in winter? Because we actually want our bodies to warm up. And if we are really paying attention, we can see and we can feel how we actually feel when we drink or eat something like that. Or, for example, pumpkin is completely the same, or it's actually warming up our body. And in the winter time, for example, watermelon. I always I'm so amazed how everything is connected and how everything works. For example, we know how the nature knows how to take care of herself and also to take care of ourselves. If we just think from this perspective, what foods are really good to eat in autumn and winter? Those that we harvest in summer and we have them stored somewhere in our house. And just because we harvest those vegetables, or let's say also some other, for example, tomatoes, not tomatoes, potatoes, then we know that potatoes will actually help to warm up our body, right? And if we would eat that in the summer, it actually wouldn't do so. It's also okay, but if we really want to eat with traditional Chinese medicine perspectives, we should eat that more in autumn and winter because it will warm up the body. And this is how it goes. Everything is connected. And if you go a step further with Western world versus traditional Chinese medicine, it's not about one size fits all, but we now know that each dog and also each person should have their own individual or major diet, right? Or major foods that are actually helping us to thrive. So Western world is all about raw data, and traditional Chinese medicine is about seasonal eating. Western world is about treating symptoms, and traditional Chinese medicine is about supporting organs. Of course, always consult your vet before changing your dog's diet. So what should I do? So much information. I did everything wrong. So from tomorrow on, what should I do? Just like I mentioned, don't worry. You will do a lot with already implementing even a small change starting today or tomorrow. You already have certain foods in your drawer, in your fridge, and whenever you are preparing some carrots for yourself, prepare it for your dog as well. Or whenever you are putting certain food, for example, spinach, try to mix it in your dog's bowl as well. And you will see how they will, if they like it, if they're not, and start to pay attention to their energy afterwards. And it makes a lot of sense to first know, of course, what element is your dog and to understand what energy we're bringing into their body with each type of food we feed them. It's a general guideline. And since spring is just around the corner, of course, spring is beautiful, everything is warmer, the flowers are blooming, but we see a lot of anxiety. I wanted to say anxious people and anxious dogs. This is how it is. And why spring makes my dog anxious? In traditional Chinese medicine, every dog belongs to one organ and one element. It's a functional system, it's not a metaphor, describing how the body processes energy, emotions, and movement at this time of year. So spring belongs to liver and gallbladder. You see, here are the systems written with a big capital, and the wood element. Through the winter, body conserves energy, operating more slowly, storing heat and stillness. But when spring arrives, this accumulated energy needs to go somewhere. just like the water that wants to go from the soil. But when the liver is healthy and free, the energy can move slowly, and we won't see so much anxiety, so much irritability. But and we can see our dog being joyful, being flexible, agile, full of life, and this is a sign of a healthy liver chi. When we say liver chi, we are talking about liver and life energy, the life force energy in the livers. But when the liver is overloaded or stagnant, this energy has nowhere to go. And how can I see that in my dog? When nature awakens, so does your dog, but not always in the ways you expect. So, spring in traditional Chinese medicine is a profound biological energetic field shift that activates, it's also an energetic field that activates a specific organ, specific emotions, and specific body patterns. And maybe it's the first time you're hearing this, but next time when we will enter the spring, and already now when you're joining this webinar, before the spring will come into full force, please pay attention to your dogs. Please pay attention to the people around you, to your energy as well. Maybe just for your whatever you're thinking about. You will see that in certain seasons there are emotions that come into surface, and in spring, most of the time, this is anxiety and being more nervous and so on. And understanding this cycle gives you an amazing tool, the ability to read yourself and your dog before a problem arises. Because if you'll see a dog that has, in this time around, a high level of anxiety, you can immediately know, something is happening in their liver. And you have already a certain information that you hadn't had before, and you can always go to the vet and have the organs checked. Or you can switch the food, you can implement your care, you can implement and adjust your food, and you will see if your dog reacts in some other way. What I really love in situations like this is herbal therapy and acupressure on certain points of the body that you can also learn at home. And in this way, you can already support your dog at home. And can you just imagine that you have a dog with a big level of anxiety for 10 years and you don't even know what is happening on the inside? It's crazy. But now you know how you look at your dog from a completely different perspective and what can you do at home. So the Western world taught us to wait for a symptom. So when your dog becomes reactive, allergic, or digestively unstable in spring, Western world treats these three as separate problems. But in traditional Chinese medicine, we have just one, and it's liver, that it's searching for an energy outlet, because traditional Chinese medicine is reading patterns. So other signs that you may recognize in this time around, so signs of liver qi, liver energy, liver life energy, overload, and below we have stagnation. So we're talking about the overload when we have allergies, itchy skin, red eyes, eye discharge, increased skin flaking or greasy coat, unpleasant body odor, ear infections, fatigue, or even apathy, increased thirst, because the liver needs water for detox processes that are also very important in the spring season, and tension around the right side of the abdomen along the ribs. And how do I know if my dog is tense? Just gently pat them in that area when they are resting and try to describe the feeling that you sense underneath your fingers. Is it soft? Is it maybe tense? And try to compare it with other parts of your dog's body and see how it is in this comparison. Other signs in this sense of liver qi stagnation is increased reactivity, irritability, impatience without any obvious case, frustration in blocked situation, so a barrier by walking, inability to reach something, tension in the neck, shoulders, and jaw, digestive disturbances. So if your dog is gassy, unstable stools appearing or worsening in spring, allergies, skin, eyes, ears. The liver expels toxins through external surfaces, reduced flexibility, morning stiffness, or tendons and fascia. In some dogs, seasonal changes in appetite or behavior. So quite the opposite as we are used to. Spring emotions in short, what you can see. So we have anger, reactivity, anxiety, and frustration, impatience. So with anger and reactivity, we have dogs that react quickly, intensely. Liver chi surges upward. Often there's tension in neck and shoulders, and leash reactivity is classic liver pattern. So anxiety, blockage, dogs that freeze, cannot calm down, attention seekers. Liver chi does not flow in that case. Energy builds with no outlet, often combined with digestive issues, and we will take a closer look as we go. Frustration and impatience, so dogs that cannot stand waiting for food, for play, attention. Quickly, they are frustrated during training. Liver and gallbladder directly involved in decision making and patience. So you see how everything is connected. And we are talking about the gut-brain axis. So we were talking about the connection between separation anxiety and gut health, right? And if you have an anxious dog, this is usually not just something that you should address with training. Try first with their gut health. So the gut-brain axis is a special term in Western medicine that it's about the connection running in both directions between gut and brain. So an action dog often has digestive problems. Just think about that. And a dog with chronic digestive instability is often more anxious. This is not a coincidence. It's very well connected. And again, it's a holistic approach that we should take into consideration. Traditional Chinese medicine describes this with precise mechanics. So when liver stagnates, it attacks spleen and stomach meridians, meaning stress activates the sympathetic nervous system and destabilizes gut microbiome, so peristaltis and digestive enzymes. If we treat the anxiety, digestion will benefit. And also, if we treat the digestion, the anxiety will, in most cases, follow. So how to feed and care for our dog in spring? Nutrition, dark leafy greens. So go to the nearest market, take some spinach for yourself and for your dog. Cooked it. We're not offering this raw. Cooked it. And I suggest you just to cut it out or mix it, and then mix it in the meat or in the type of food that you're giving. Because of course, if you will just offer just spinach as it is, usually what they will do, smell it. It doesn't have any special smell. Maybe for us, for our dogs, it has, because they really have an amazing sense of smell, but it's not something very inviting for them. And if they were try it with their tongue, it's almost without a taste. So usually they won't eat it, they will just leave it. But we need to introduce those foods slowly and in rhythm that they are used to, in a slow manner. So if you are mixing it and putting inside of other foods, this is a way for them to eat it easier. And of course, once they will get used to it, they will love it. This is how we actually introduce certain type of food. Again, if you would put just a leaf of spinach on your tongue, you wouldn't feel anything. So why would you eat it, right? It's exactly the same with our dogs. So dark leafy greens are warming, liver activating. Nutrition should be warming and liver activating. Usually a certain type of vegetable is cooling, but this especially is contributing to the liver health. Also, apple cider vinegar in small amounts, very important, and also turmeric with black pepper. Also, a fun fact, if your dog is searching for other dogs' poos and maybe also sometimes eat some of them, this is a sign that their gut microbiome is not completely in balance. So you can prevent that with putting just a spoon of apple cider in their bowl. Try and let me know how it goes. Hydration, so it's very important this time around. Fresh filtered food. Bone broth is one of the most amazing remedies that you can cook at home. It's very rich in minerals. It supports liver tissue. I cooked it and I put it into ice cubes. I freeze it, and then I usually just mix vegetables for my dogs together with those ice cubes. So I don't put water, but I put bone broth, and it's a very, very good mixture and a very healthy one. So movement, it's very important in this time around. Running or slow walking, sniffing, take them sniffing, take them in the forest. Swimming as well, but be cautious, of course, if you live in warmer areas, then swimming is recommendable. Or if you have hydrotherapy where they have warmer waters, I don't recommend swimming outside when it's still cold, because this cold water can be really bad for their joints. Herbs, dandelion, calendula, nettle. So those are all very classic liver supporting herbs. Always work with a holistic practitioner or veterinarian to create balanced, safe diet tailored to your dog's needs. If you will do big changes, always consult the professional in your area so you can really adjust your dog's diet, your dog's food to their own needs. But if you will do just a small change, what we are also here today, small change, small habit, you will see how your dog reacts. And maybe then you will see that you also want to improve certain things and you will go a step further. And this is where the whole new world can open up for you. And of course, we live in a world of seasons. We saw that we were speaking about spring today. And it's not only about nature, it's also about seasons of our dogs' lives, right? And also our lives. We always say the spring is actually when we are still young, when we are teenagers. This is our fire, right? And like I said, everything is connected. And teenagers, you can see them. They have this fire inside of them, sometimes too much, right? And then in adulthood, we have this earth element. We are more grounding. We are more calmed down. And this is exactly how everything twisted and everything comes after another season. So this is what I really love about traditional Chinese medicine. If you look from their lenses, you can see how you can, everything is so logical. You can see how everything, it's just in some beautiful flow. And you've seen how we can look at your dog's care through the lens of the season. And there is so much more to explore, just as there are so many states and conditions your dog may be in. We were now looking just in terms through feeding, through care, through spring, through the lenses of spring, but we also have, let's say, different skeletal issues. We can also have certain emotion conditions in which we can cure our dog. And this is exactly why I will introduce you something as we go. Because this is something that it's a good start, but just for you to know that it's a whole new world and there are so many things that you can do, that you have this power that you can do at home. And the general rule, not to be confused, is we feed against the imbalance, not with it. So a young dog in hot season gets cooling food, and a young dog in winter gets warming food. We're always working toward balance, again, not reinforcing what's already excessive. And how to know if you've gone too far? This can happen as well. Watch for signs of excess heat with panting, restlessness, excessive thirst, or too much cooling, lethargy, low energy, seeking warmth. Those are your signs. Your dog's body will always tell you. and your body is always communicating with you. You just have to slow down, pay attention, and allow yourself to see. And I promise also a bonus, and it's acupressure point for your pocket, and it's actually liver 3 acupressure point. It's amazing for pain relief, for reducing inflammation, reduces stress and anxiety. It's also for liver detoxification and regulation. And where you can find it, to say, don't stress too much about the correct position or the correct location. Of course, if we do acupuncture, that will be very important. But what I would like to point out is usually what we do when we don't know something or when we are stressed about certain situation, we move away, we pull away. I would like to invite you to search for this, to search for this acupressure point. And what I mean by don't stress around the exact position, you can also slide. This will also contribute to blood flow in that area. So when your dog is resting, usually the hind legs are actually not really a spot that they will enjoy petting, or maybe if they're not used to, they will look you and they will like, what are you doing there? So it's everything is a habit. So just take your time, develop this habit, and your dog will start to trust you. So at the beginning, swipe up and down at this location, and then later on you can use 2 fingers or 1 finger or maybe a thumb. And we always have a position like this, and try to find the point that lies on your dog's hind leg, but on the inside, so medial, below the hock joint. Look for the web space between the 2 metatarsal bones closest to the midline of your dog's body. So find the bones on the hind leg, right above the paw joint, then slide over to the innermost bone into the small valley. And the tip is use light pressure first. This is very important. The pressure shouldn't be bigger than as if you were pressing on your eyeballs, the closed eyeballs. Start like that. Or stroke the area. And before pressing the point, check if your dog is sensitive in this area. And if they pull away, of course, we never force them into the session, and we also respect their decision. So we never force dog into acupressure or into massage. We first start with 10 seconds, then gradually continue to 30 seconds, and then 1 minute. It can also be at the end 3 minutes. Practice daily, or at least 2 and 3 times per week. And let me know if you will find it, if you need any additional support. Just like I mentioned in the previous slide, with Conscious Dog Guardians membership, you will also receive videos on how to find the exact points. You will also receive monthly exercises, monthly massage techniques, also different herbal ball areas to treat. So we will all have a closer look all of those points and areas to treat. Thank you so much for today. I'm incredibly happy to have you here. I apologize again for the inconvenience at the beginning. There should be something in the planets, but thank you so much. And most importantly, stay present with your dog. If you will stay present with your dog, you can give them the most of yourself and most of your time together. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful day. Bye.